Chapter 15 The Two-Faced Dictator Shawan. He nodded, knowing he couldn't keep it a secret from his father. He picked up the open scroll on the table and held it close to his chest. In a bitter voice, he said, "She's someone I like very much. Originally, I wanted to bless her marriage when I found out about it. But when I overheard Aunt Qingrang talking to the shoe matchmaker to marry me off, all I could think of was making her my wife. I wanted her to be mine. Even though I knew she didn't like me, I knew it would be difficult, that I would get burned, but I still donned the wedding attire and I still crossed over the fire pan." The breeze swept his bangs across his forehead. He gave a tiny smile and said, "She's willing to help me and take me away. I want to go with her. I want her to be my wife. I know she's just taking pity on me, but I'll take that pity." He turned to face his father and continued with, "Dad, just now she called me by my first name, and she called you father-in-law." Xie Chuchen became excited as he remembered. "Earlier, when she carried me inside, she took off my boot and applied some medicine to my ankle." He blushed the moment he said it. "Just now, my robe wasn't fastened properly, so it started slipping. Did she perhaps think I was leading her on?" "No." He paused, suddenly shy and discouraged. "Actually, if she did and was interested, it would have been good." Xu Qing stood at the front of the share house with more than a dozen guards surrounding the gate, but none of them could get inside. A crowd had gathered to gossip and watch. It was such a large crowd that it surprised two officials walking by. Believing she had Xiao Wan's support, Xie Qingrang grew bold. In a loud, arrogant voice, she said, "Third young mistress, national laws dictate that an engagement contract can be voided if double the betrothal amount is returned. I will pay the required 2,000 silvers to break the contract, but I must ask third young mistress to respect and abide by the law. Do not bring people to cause trouble. Let us peacefully dissolve the contract." Xu Qing didn't care about the money. She shouted angrily, "You owed 1,000 in gambling debts. You begged me to accept Xie Chuchen as a substitute. He had a lousy reputation, but I liked the way he looked, so I reluctantly agreed to your proposal, and I cleared your debt. Now that there's another woman in the picture, you want to back out of our deal? Don't talk to me about abiding by rules and etiquette. You're the one disrespecting it." She snorted before continuing, "When I refused to dissolve the engagement, you secretly married him to the Shao house. That's a violation. The punishment for that is 60 strikes with the board. The cheap slut of a husband that reneged should be tied down to a wicker cage and drowned. As for that bitch who stole my husband, she gets 80 strikes. Xie Qingrang's face turned ugly. She didn't expect Xu Qing would go so far as to reveal their secret deal. The crowd was stunned at Xu Qing's words. But even if it was vicious, she was only speaking the truth. It was a huge taboo in Eastern Wei to secretly marry an engaged child to someone else without dissolving the previous engagement first. Punishment for the crime was severe, so it was a serious matter. Xie Qingrang was just an irresponsible woman who enjoyed drinking, eating, and gambling. Unlike the 12 times married Xu Qing, she was not familiar with marital law. Just as Xie Qingrang was becoming anxious, Xiao Wan gracefully walked out. Xiao Wan ignored the stalemate between the two houses and called for Huaxia and Yunya to bring the gifts back to the carriage. Instead of assisting with the conflict, Xiao Wan took possession of the chests. In shock, Xie Qingrang's face paled considerably. "Ms. Xiao, aren't those the betrothal gifts for Chuchen? Why are you taking them back?" Xu Qing laughed loudly at the sight of Xiao Wan running away. In her mind, it was clear Xiao Wan didn't dare take Xie Chuchen as a husband. "That's right. These are the betrothal gifts for Xie Chuchen." Xiao Wan spoke up, interrupting Xu Qing's laughter. She looked at Xie Qingrang as she continued. "Father-in-law is not well. I will take him to the Xiao house for treatment. These gifts belong to father-in-law. And since I am going to take him to the Xiao house with me, it's only natural we bring them with us." Since Shenqi was practically blind, Xie Qingrang thought it would be an easy matter to conceal the full gift amount from him, and thereby keep most of it for herself. Her son would marry soon, so it would be useful in preparing a proper dowry for him. How was she going to do that if Xiao Wan took everything back to the Xiao house? Xie Qingrang spoke up. Ms. Xiao, that would be too much trouble. Please, just leave. I will return it with father-in-law when he returns to the Xie house. Mrs. Xie, you're so anxious about the gifts. One would think you were trying to keep it for yourself. Xiao Wan laughed innocently before continuing. Mrs. Xie, you aren't so wild as to do that, are you? Seeing that Xiao Wan's heart was made up, Xu Qing said, Xiao Wan, I have an engagement contract with Xie Chuchen. Are you going to go against me on this? If you do, Xiao Wan interrupted her before she could finish speaking. Third young mistress is so familiar with marital law. You must be aware marriage contracts must be signed by all parents involved. Xu Qing nodded and brought out the contract as she explained. Both Xie Qingrang and the matchmaker have their seals on here. If the Xie house wants to renege, then they need to make proper repayment. Xiao Wan nodded her head as well. It's true, the Xie house does need to pay properly, either in personal value or monetary value, or they can simply accept the punishment. However, Xiao Wan smiled wolfishly as she raised her eyebrows. It seems that third young mistress misunderstands the situation. Xie Chuchen is the heir to the Xie house, yes, but Xie Qingrang is only his maternal aunt. Your contract is between you and her. Why are you standing there trying to steal my husband? Xiao Wan stepped closer to Xu Qing with each word. Third young mistress, you are so well versed in marital law. How is it that you're unfamiliar with its most basic concept? Do you really believe a concubine-born maternal aunt is qualified to act in the place of a mother and father to the heir of the house? Wouldn't that make a mockery of the whole system? Xu Qing was speechless. Xiao Wan further hammered her point in. You see, third young mistress, there was no contract between you and Xie Chuchen. How dare you say I stole him from you? Xu Qing sucked in a breath and glared hatefully at Xiao Wan. You're telling me I have to eat the loss, that the gifts I gave for Xie Chuchen were a complete waste? The loophole left Xu Qing in a legal bind but put Xiao Wan in an excellent position. It effectively nullified Xu Qing's claim to marriage. Xiao Wan replied with, Why would you say the gift was wasted? Xie Qingrang can't act for Xie Chuchen, but she can certainly act for her own son, Xie Chen. Xiao Wan smiled brilliantly at them, completely ignoring the shock her words elicited. Xiao Wan continued, Xie Qingrang is not Xie Chuchen's mother, but she is Xie Chen's mother. Therefore, third young mistress, Xie Chen can be the groom you usher in through the side door. Are you unhappy at the prospect of escorting your young groom through the side door? This gross misrepresentation of the facts made Xie Qingrang sputter. You, what nonsense! Xiao Wan was ready with a reply as soon as Xie Qingrang opened her mouth. Third young mistress, please look at the contract. Does the gangtia, the sheet that should have Xie Chuchen's full legal name, the meaning behind the characters, and his birth date, is that anywhere in there? Xu Qing opened the contract book and realized the sheet was missing. Xie Qingrang grabbed the contract book and looked through it. The gangtia! The sheet of paper was indeed missing. It was there in plain sight when she gave it to the matchmaker earlier. Xiao Wan glanced at the book with the contract and smiled as she said, Without the gangtia, the contract is incomplete. In Eastern way, for a woman to marry a main husband into her family, the contract needed the signatures of parents from both sides, as well as the full legal name of the bride and groom, in addition to the birth charts. To marry a minor husband or get a concubine was much simpler, only requiring the family name and birth charts to ascertain that the match wouldn't be a bad one. The contract Shu Qing had only stated that she would escort the groom, her seventh husband-to-be, from the share house on July 26th. It did not have Xie Chuchen's full legal name. That information was in the Gingtia, which was now missing. To top it all off, Xie Qingrang planned to secretly give Chuchen away, so naturally she didn't have Shen Shi's signature in the contract either. Instead, she had had her husband sign where Shen Shi's signature should have been. Xiao Wan had had Yunye steal the Gingtia from the matchmaker earlier when the two collided outside the gates, so currently Shu Qing only had the contract book. This made it an ambiguous situation, and it was unclear who Xie Qingrang was giving away and just who Shu Qing was engaged to. Xie Qingrang broke in.
Nonsense!
Xie Qingrang pulled the matchmaker to the side and furiously whispered to her.
Didn't I clearly say that it was for Xie Chuchen when we discussed the marriage back then?
Xiao Wan continued her attack. What? Were you discussing Chuchen's marriage? Xiao Wan acted surprised and shot the matchmaker a fake smile. Didn't we just clarify the distinction between the marriage contracts of an heir and the marriage of a minor wife or the union of a concubine? I heard there were stiff penalties for any matchmaker who arranges a secret marriage that went against the established conventions. Something along the lines of 10 excruciating hits with the board, I believe. Though Xiao Wan's voice was casual, as though she was talking about something mundane, the expression on her face said anything but. It frightened the matchmaker. In a desire to protect her own interests, she lied through her teeth.
Mrs. Xie, when we spoke, it was clearly about your son. Did you forget?
Before the crowd could absorb the new revelation, and before Xie Qingrang could act, Xiao Wan poured more oil onto the fire by saying, Mrs. Xie, there are so many good things about the third young mistress. She comes from an excellent family, is pleasing to the eye, and has a bright future ahead of her. Surely she will pamper her husband. Xiao Wan gave Xie Qingrang a big smile. It is his fortune to marry into her house. Miss Xu will surely treat him well. How ironic. Xiao Wan was using Xie Qingrang's own words from earlier against her.